Well, we are almost at the end of March, which means we are almost at the end of our Pet Poison Prevention Month. And Dr. Crumpton did a wonderful job sharing with you some of the common household poisons. And Sydney Warner with Clever Critters, we totally appreciate the presentation she did on preventing through training, the kind of oopsies that can happen in the home with some of the poisons. Today, I am going to talk to you about the snakes in our area because we have both non venomous and venomous snakes. And as the weather is now getting nicer, they're going to be out and about. And so are we with our dogs. And whether we are doing a club walk with the Peninsula Pups Dog Walking Club, or you and your family are exploring one of the beautiful parks in our area with your pup, I just want to make sure that you are aware of what you could find and how to avoid them. So I think the best place to start is right here with preventing snake bites. Uh, First thing first, even if your dog has great off leash manners, it's still a good idea anytime that you are on a trail in a wooded area to have your pup on a leash. We really don't want them too far ahead of us, behind us, or on the side, because if they get bitten by a snake, we may not realize it. A trick for climbing over rocks and logs is to make sure that you step on them. That way, your dog can get past, you can step off of it, and it's less likely that a snake is going to come out and bite you or your pup. Stick to well traveled paths. And because snakes don't really like to be around us, they want to go sit and hide in the logs and in the shade and in the darkness under cover and wait for their meal. If we come along, we just distract their food. So if we can stay out of their area, they will more than likely be out of our way. For your own homes, keeping down the rodent population, which means keeping trash in well, contained containers, as well as keeping ivy cleaned up because mice and rats like to hide in ivy. And where they hang out, snakes will line up to eat. Also, keeping your wood piles blocked off. If you have a fireplace, it's a good idea to keep your pets away from those wood piles because snakes like to hide in those as well. If you're out west, you could always consider a snake avoidance clinic. They do kind of use some negative reinforcement techniques, but if you're going to be in a place where it's potentially 10 times fold that you could come across a venomous snake, then it might be something to consider, especially if your dog has a strong prey drive and isn't very good at being recalled or listening to leave it. Let's see. We do have non-venomous and venomous snakes in our area, so it's always good to be able to tell the difference between the three and know what to do in the event of a bite. As you can see, our venomous snakes have a more triangular head, where our non-venomous snakes are a little more smooth. I mean, you can still see a little bit, but it's not as pronounced as the venomous snake. Non-venomous snakes have round pupils like dogs, though I hope you're never close enough to a snake head to notice their pupils. And as you can see, they have rows of teeth. When they bite, you're going to see bruising and those teeth marks. And you need to keep in mind that snakes have a lot of bacteria in their mouth. So you're going to need to clean it really well with antibacterial soap. And of course, keep an eye for swelling, redness, or heat, which could all indicate that an infection is setting in. If possible, take a picture of the snake just so you can identify it later. For our venomous snakes, again, they have a more triangular shaped head. They have elliptical pupils. You're going to see fang marks in the bite. And some of those will actually have rattles, though you may not ever hear the rattle. Just so you know, baby snakes can inject a full dose of poison or venom into your body or your pet's body, whereas sometimes an adult snake will only administer a portion of it or do what's called, I think it's called a dry bite, where they don't administer any. However, in the case that you feel that your pet has been tagged by a venomous snake, you will certainly want to get to the vet. Um, you can see right here the two little puncture marks on this pup. Hopefully, it was a good story at the end there. He looks a little terrified from it. Here are some of the snakes that you might see right here in our area. First of all, the water moccasin or the cottonmouth. As you can see, this guy is swimming on top of the water, and that's another way to determine if the snake is a venomous snake. They will inflate their bodies and actually swim on top of the water. If you open the mouth, see them with their mouth open, it's going to be nice, bright white like cotton inside, which is how they get their cotton mouth name. We have the copperhead land snake. It's kind of hard. This is his head right here, his little eye here. It's a little hard to see it very well in this photo. But as you can see, this guy could easily hide in a pile of leaves. And then we have our canebrake rattlesnake. I find this one fascinating because about 30 years ago, they were almost extinct. Now, because of that, they are still on the endangered species list and you cannot kill them. They are a protected snake. So, the best thing to do is avoid them. They do have a rattle on them. And on the west part of Virginia, they're called the timber rattlesnake. So, timber, canebrake, same snake, different name. If you head into the Carolinas, you might see the eastern diamondback rattler as well. Uh, Not so much here in Virginia, but for those of you who like to hit the Outer Banks and discover the parks there, just keep in mind the more south you get, the more likely you are to see this one. And of course, avoidance is always the best plan. A little bit about venom versus venin. Venom is what the snake injects into you, while venin is the antidote. Snakes offer both a hemotoxin, which you can see breaks down the blood, or a neurotoxin, which causes paralysis, including the heart and lungs. For either of these, you're going to need the antidote or the antivenin. Unfortunately, here on the peninsula, the only place that I have found that carries antivenin is at the Peninsula Animal Referral Center, which is directly across from the county grill on 17. I called them and spoke to them, and they assured me that they have it. So I will make sure that you have their contact information at the bottom of this. If you live in Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, I would recommend checking in with your emergency vet. The nice thing about the emergency care at Park Peninsula Animal Referral Center is that they are 24/7. Uh, in the event that your pet is bitten by a venomous snake, you will want to call ahead and let them know that you are on your way there for a snake bite, and hopefully you can identify which it is. But it takes them about 30 minutes to constitute this, and you want that in your pet. Plus, you want them to know that you're on your way with a very serious life threatening medical condition. In the event that your pet is bitten, this is what you need to do. You need to keep the bite at or below the level of the heart. You don't want it to be above. You don't want it draining into the heart. You don't want that poison getting there because then it's going to disperse through the entire body. You want to keep the pet calm and yourself calm. And that's going to mean keeping your pet as immobile as possible and carrying them to the vehicle and then into the clinic. And like I said, you want to call the vet or the emergency vet to let them know that you are on your way and what to expect. I do hope that in all of our walks and all of your enjoyment this summertime with your dogs, you don't run into a snake, much less get bitten by one. However, if you do, these are some great resources. And of course, it's a good idea, no matter where you travel with your pet, to look up what poisonous creatures are in that area, as well as the emergency clinic and what sort of antidotes they carry for you. Wishing you the best, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of you tomorrow on our first walk. And have a wonderful rest of your day.